Italy stands at a crossroads. The country's new Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, signals a potential shift in alliances, steering Italy away from the European Union towards the BRICS nations. This move raises critical questions about Italy's economy and its relationship with European neighbors. Italy's decision carries weight as a founding EU member with the third largest economy in the Eurozone. The world is watching closely. We are witnessing a new era in global politics. The unipolar world, dominated by the West, is fading, giving way to a multipolar system. BRICS, comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, embodies this shift, challenging the established order. These nations represent a significant portion of the world's population and economic output, united by a desire to reform global governance. Italy's potential pivot towards BRICS underscores the growing appeal of this bloc. The rise of BRICS presents opportunities for cooperation on global issues like climate change and poverty. However, it also raises concerns about potential fragmentation of the international system. Why is Italy, a founding EU member, considering a pivot towards BRICS? The answer involves economic concerns, political frustrations, and a desire for greater autonomy. Italy has faced economic stagnation, high debt, and unemployment, exacerbated by the EU's austerity measures. In contrast, BRICS nations offer new markets and investment opportunities, presenting a potential lifeline for Italy's struggling economy. Meloni and her supporters argue that the EU has become too bureaucratic and out of touch, seeing BRICS as a platform to challenge the EU's dominance. Giorgia Meloni's foreign policy is a departure from her predecessors, adopting a more pragmatic approach. While critical of certain EU policies, Meloni recognizes the importance of maintaining strong ties with Europe, but seeks to expand Italy's horizons. One significant move was inviting leaders from developing countries, including key BRICS members, to the 2024 G7 summit in Italy. This decision signaled her intention to engage with a broader range of global players. Meloni's approach has faced criticism, particularly from within the EU, but she maintains her goal is to foster dialogue and cooperation among all nations. Meloni's criticism of the EU is rooted in a belief that the bloc has become too bureaucratic and out of touch. She has been vocal about the EU's handling of migration and economic policies, calling for stricter border controls and greater fiscal autonomy for member states. Meloni's challenge to the EU status quo resonates with right-wing populist parties across Europe. Her rise to power in Italy could embolden these parties and further fuel Euroscepticism across the continent. Meloni's interest in engaging with the Global South, particularly BRICS nations, is driven by economic opportunities and a desire for greater influence. She sees the Global South as a platform for Italy to exert greater influence and position itself as a bridge between the West and the developing world. Meloni's focus on the Global South aligns with her vision of a multipolar world order. However, this pivot could strain Italy's relations with its Western allies, particularly the United States. Italy's relationship with China presents a complex dilemma. China represents a significant economic opportunity for Italy, with investment flowing into Italian ports and industries. However, this economic dependence on China comes at a price, raising concerns about China's growing influence. Meloni's decision to withdraw Italy from China's Belt and Road Initiative reflects this unease. Despite this, she seeks to maintain a working relationship with China, emphasizing dialogue and cooperation. Italy's tightrope walk between economic pragmatism and geopolitical considerations reflects the broader challenge facing European nations. India, a natural partner with untapped potential. Italy and India share a long history of cultural and economic exchange. Today, India represents a burgeoning economic powerhouse and a key player in the Indo-Pacific region. For Italy, India offers significant opportunities for trade, investment, and collaboration in sectors like renewable energy and technology. Strengthening ties with India aligns with Italy's goal of diversifying its partnerships and reducing reliance on traditional Western allies. Brazil, a familiar face in a shifting landscape. Italy and Brazil share a unique bond rooted in a shared history of migration and cultural exchange. Economically, Brazil represents a significant trading partner for Italy within Latin America. Beyond trade, Italy and Brazil collaborate on global issues like climate change and sustainable development. Brazil's recent political shifts have injected renewed energy into the bilateral relationship, creating opportunities for deeper cooperation. The UAE, a gateway to Middle Eastern markets. Italy's relationship with the UAE has flourished, driven by economic and geopolitical interests. The UAE's rapid economic diversification has created opportunities for Italian companies in sectors like tourism and renewable energy. Beyond economics, Italy and the UAE share a common interest in promoting stability and security in the Mediterranean and Middle East. The UAE's growing global influence makes it an attractive partner for Italy, as it seeks to position itself as a bridge between Europe and the Arab world. Navigating a multipolar world, Italy's tightrope walk. Italy's pivot towards BRICS unfolds against the backdrop of a rapidly shifting global order. Meloni's foreign policy represents a departure from traditional Western alignment, signaling a willingness to engage with a broader range of actors. This approach reflects a pragmatic recognition of the shifting balance of power. However, this balancing act carries inherent risks, potentially straining relationships with traditional allies. Italy's embrace of multipolarity reflects a broader trend among European nations seeking to diversify their partnerships and reduce reliance on traditional alliances. A fractured Europe, Meloni's challenge to EU orthodoxy. Meloni's leadership has injected uncertainty into the EU dynamics. Her criticisms of the EU's handling of key issues resonate with right-wing populist parties, emboldening those who seek to challenge the bloc's authority. Meloni believes the EU has become too bureaucratic and out of touch. Her calls for stricter border controls and greater fiscal autonomy reflect a growing sense of discontent. Her stance has sparked tensions with other EU leaders, particularly Macron. The clash highlights deep divisions within the bloc. Italy's potential drift from the EU core could impact the bloc's unity. A weakened EU would benefit those who seek to undermine it, like Russia and China. Meloni's challenge underscores the need for a renewed conversation about the EU's direction, addressing citizens' concerns for a more cohesive union. The Global South beckons, opportunities and uncertainties for Italy. Meloni's pivot towards the Global South, particularly her outreach to BRICS nations, reflects a strategic calculation that Italy's future prosperity and influence lie in forging stronger ties with the world's fastest-growing economies. The Global South, with its burgeoning middle classes, insatiable demand for infrastructure, and vast reserves of natural resources, presents a tantalizing opportunity for Italian businesses seeking new markets and investment opportunities. Italy's historical and cultural ties to Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East provide a unique advantage in navigating these emerging markets. Italian companies have a long history of operating in these regions, building trust and forging partnerships that can serve as a foundation for future collaboration. Meloni's government has signaled its intention to leverage these existing relationships, promoting Italy as a bridge between the West and the Global South. However, Venturing into the global south is not without its challenges. Competition for resources and markets is fierce, and Italian companies will need to adapt to different business cultures and regulatory environments. Moreover, political instability, corruption, and weak governance structures in some developing countries pose significant risks for investors and businesses. Italy's success in engaging with the global south will depend on its ability to forge mutually beneficial partnerships based on respect, transparency, and shared prosperity. By leveraging its strengths in areas like renewable energy, sustainable development, and infrastructure, Italy can position itself as a valuable partner for developing countries seeking to achieve their economic and social aspirations. Meloni's overtures to BRICS nations have fueled speculation about a potential realignment of Italy's foreign policy, shifting away from its traditional Western orientation towards a more autonomous path. The potential for a deeper partnership should not be underestimated. BRICS nations have welcomed Italy's willingness to engage. They see Italy as a potential bridge to Europe. For Italy, BRICS offers an alternative platform to voice its concerns. However, a closer alignment with BRICS would raise eyebrows in Washington. Meloni's government will need to carefully calibrate its approach. The potential for a BRICS-Italy axis of influence remains largely unexplored territory. Italy's potential shift towards BRICS carries significant economic implications, requiring a careful assessment of both the potential benefits and the inherent risks. BRICS nations, with their rapid economic growth, represent a lucrative market for Italian exports. Expanding trade with these economies could boost Italy's economy, creating jobs and stimulating innovation. However, this pivot also carries potential downsides. Italy's traditional EU partners may react negatively, potentially leading to trade disputes or economic retaliation. Italy must carefully weigh these interests, striving to balance expansion and existing partnerships. Energy security in a turbulent world. Italy's quest for alternatives. Italy, heavily reliant on energy imports, faces significant challenges in ensuring its energy security in a world grappling with geopolitical turmoil, climate change, and volatile energy markets. The Russia-Ukraine conflict, in particular, has exposed the vulnerabilities of Italy's dependence on Russian natural gas, prompting a scramble to diversify its energy sources and reduce its reliance on a single supplier. Meloni's government has identified energy security as a top priority, outlining plans to invest in renewable energy sources, such as solar, wind, and geothermal, to reduce Italy's reliance on fossil fuels and achieve its climate goals. However, transitioning to a more sustainable energy mix will require significant investments in infrastructure, technology, and research and development, as well as overcoming bureaucratic hurdles and public resistance to renewable energy projects. In the short term, Italy is seeking to secure alternative sources of natural gas, signing agreements with countries like Algeria, Azerbaijan, and Qatar to increase imports and reduce its dependence on Russia. However, these alternative suppliers also come with their own set of challenges, including higher prices, long-term contracts, and potential geopolitical risks. Italy's quest for energy security will require a multi-pronged approach, combining investments in renewables, diversification of suppliers, and energy efficiency measures. Moreover, regional cooperation within the EU will be crucial to pool resources, coordinate energy policies, and enhance the bloc's collective bargaining power in global energy markets. A bridge to Africa, Italy's ambitions in the global south. Italy, strategically located at the crossroads of the Mediterranean Sea, views Africa as a continent of both opportunities and challenges. Meloni's government has identified Africa as a priority region for Italian foreign policy, seeking to strengthen economic ties, promote stability and development, and counter the influence of other global powers, such as China and Russia. Italy sees Africa as a potential source of economic growth, particularly in sectors like renewable energy, infrastructure, agriculture, and tourism. Italian companies have a long history of operating in Africa, and Meloni's government is keen to leverage this experience to expand trade and investment ties, promoting Italy as a reliable and sustainable partner for African nations. Beyond economics, Italy is also concerned about the security implications of instability in Africa, particularly the spread of terrorism, organized crime, and irregular migration flows. Meloni's government has pledged to increase Italian contributions to peacekeeping missions in Africa and to work with African partners to address the root causes of instability, such as poverty, inequality, and lack of opportunities for young people. Italy's ambitions in Africa face significant challenges, including competition from other global powers, the legacy of colonialism, and the complex internal dynamics of African countries. Success will require a nuanced and respectful approach based on partnership, mutual benefit, and a commitment to supporting Africa's own development priorities. Italy's gamble, a calculated risk or a step into the unknown. Italy's pivot towards BRICS is a bold gamble, fraught with both promise and peril. Giorgia Meloni's decision challenges the established geopolitical order. The potential rewards are significant. Closer ties with BRICS offer access to new markets and resources. However, the risks are equally profound. Italy's overtures to BRICS have raised eyebrows among its traditional allies. The world is watching. Italy's choice, a harbinger of things to come. Italy's pivot towards BRICS is more than just a shift in one nation's foreign policy. The unipolar moment, dominated by the West, is giving way to a more multipolar world. Italy's choice reflects this broader trend, signaling a growing recognition of new global complexities. Italy's gamble is being closely watched by other nations facing similar choices. From Southeast Asia to Latin America, governments are weighing the costs and benefits of new partnerships. Italy's experience will serve as a case study for the evolving global order. The success or failure of Italy's pivot will depend on its actions and the responses of other actors. The choices made today will shape the geopolitical landscape for decades to come.